Was that there? There we go. Let's try that one more time. Hello, Comic-Con! Take two. Thank you. Well, I am so honored that they had me come this year. Dr. Trek, thank you all for coming here. It's awesome for Thursday, so it's time to give it up now for the one, the only, Bester, Walter Chekov, Walter Koenig, everybody! Excuse us, butt shot. So this is like, you guys are in this cool thing they do where they do the crowd shot for Walter. Okay. No. Yeah. Isn't that behind the scenes stuff so cool? Admiral. It is in Renegade. You're an admiral, right?
An admiral, right. I'm also 143 years old, so if you believe that, you believe I'm an admiral. Oh, so here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they're excited. What, you want to have a seat, or do you want to?
I feel more comfortable.
Okay.
Standing.
I can like zoom in with the chair if you feel,
Yeah, it's just that when I sit, it's very difficult getting out of the chair, and then they say, "Oh, now we read."
Yeah.
I can pretend that I'm still
So we've got, how are we doing on our line? We've got Q&A over here.
Okay.
I think that's the only one, but we should not ignore our poor people who are having to look through the camera over here either.
Yes.
Let's just jump in.
All right. Hi, my name's Rachel. I'm a big fan of your work on Star Trek and Babylon 5. I've been wondering, what do you think Bester and Chekov would think of each other if they were to meet?
Well, Bester would think that Chekov is very young.
Isn't that 137 or whatever?
43.
43.
Please get it.
I'm sorry. I lose my doctorate on that.
Bester would probably be amused by Chekov. And Chekov would probably feel a little bit intimidated, I think, by Bester. Because Chekov, being as young as he is, and just post-adolescent, he probably has a lot of very sensual, erotic feelings, and would be embarrassed that Bester could read his thoughts.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I love to work in Babylon 5. My question is, you have a supernatural power in Babylon 5. Would you like that in real life, that same power?
Yeah, I like that. I know the people who really mean it when they smile at me, and those that are really holding back a grimace, full of vituperation and anger and hostility. I know you're out there.
It's a prerequisite for Starfleet admirals too, I think. Too. So, yeah.
Walter, I guess my question would be, as the youngest cast member, have you considered being the final carrier of the flag for Starfleet and for the original series?
What did you mean exactly by that?
Yeah. I'm not the youngest cast member, number one.
You're not.
No. George is 9 months younger. And he also has a parent that lived to 101. And right now I am the oldest living member, the oldest member of my family. The person who lived the longest, that's what I'm trying to say. So I think that there's a horizon that I can see that George probably cannot. That's what I'm saying.
So there. So that was, is that it? Oh, well, go ahead, it's okay.
You carry your age great, and as an educator, I'd like to thank you for opening doorways of communication between myself and my students. Long story, I won't even bother, but we'll chat when I come to your autograph table.
Oh, let's hear it. I'd like to hear it.
Well, I had a young lady who I was wearing a Klingon Imperial crest, and she walks up and she's like, "I know that. You're a Trekkie." And I'm like, "Yes, young lady, I am." She goes, "I absolutely love the series." And her and I got to talking, and I had her get permission from her parents so that I could get her an autograph from you. And once, we get to the autograph tables, that's one of my things. I look forward to being able to share that love of the future that Star Trek has, and it's overwhelming view of peace and tranquility and acceptance. And I'm grateful that the series was there and that you were a member, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Great, thank you.
And good on you for bringing that as an educator.
Hello, Walter. My name is Cameron. Big fan of your work on Babylon 5. My friends and I know you as Bester, and that's it. Question is, what was it like to transfer from our fun-loving Chekov to our villain we love to hate, Bester?
Well, the first thing that I have to explain is that I didn't go one day from Chekov and the next day to Bester. There was 15 years or something in between. I had a chance to adapt to the fact that I was no longer Chekov. I didn't even talk to people with a Russian accent. And there's those of you out there who will question whether I ever talk to people with a Russian accent. And that's what actors do. They change roles. They play different characters. I could have stepped into another character 2 weeks after the final episode of Star Trek, and there's nothing unique about that. That's you start to examine the character. What is it about this character, about this person that I'm playing, that I can relate to, that I can feel, that I can identify with, and you leave the other behind. And that's what I've always done. Perhaps in some cases better than at other times, but that's what we aspire to do.
But it was so depressing to have to adopt to another franchise-type character, right? It was really just...
I get it.
Yay! Yeah.
Next?
Yeah.
Hey. So,
Hey, do you know how old I am?
yeah, sorry, I'm just a little excited. It's awesome. I would say you're still amazing in person. You're even more amazing in person than you are in your roles. Yeah.
I guess that's a thank you.
Well, first off, I noticed that during the Star Trek franchise, you actually spoke Russian at least twice. Do you actually speak Russian?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm learning Russian. I could actually say, do you speak Russian? Вы говорите русский. That's do you speak Russian? Yeah, I'm learning Russian. I'm still a little rusty in picking it up, yeah, but you are amazing.
Do you have a question in English or Russian? Or?
Hang on, I'm just trying to think.
Well,
First off, what was the most thrilling moment of the entire Star Trek thing? Of the entire Star Trek life of yours? What was the most thrilling moment of yours?
Grilling.
Thrilling?
Oh, thrilling. Thrilling moment. I think it was probably the one or two occasions in Star Trek 4. I had the most fun. I had a great deal of fun. You're gonna have to excuse me for a moment.
Do you sneeze in Russian?
I love the improvised scene. You know, Captain, do you know where the nuclear, I can't remember what it was, but that scene. And I enjoyed the scene with the FBI agent. That was, you know, what's your name and all that. You know, as a property, as a total experience, Star Trek 4 was the most fun for me. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Not only what I had to do, but the scenes between Leonard and Bill were wonderful, were very charming. The fact that we had returned to some degree to what Star Trek was initially created to do, and that's to, you know, reflect on the world as it was and topical situations and the socio-political nature of the world and humanitarianism and all of that. And I think Star Trek did that. Star Trek 4 did that extremely well. So I was very proud of that film for that reason.
When you did the jump on the cargo, on the aircraft carrier, did you do your own stunt and jump onto a mattress, or how was that filmed?
Well, the only thing I did was
Coverage of you leaving.
I got up on a chair or a three plank ladder, and then I went, whoa! I fell, and I fell onto a mattress. I mean, it was not heroic. It's just an imagination. And the young man who did the stunt, he fell a whole deck, and he fell onto his cardboard boxes. And I don't know if you know how this works. They negotiate. I don't know who's negotiating for Star Trek, but he was negotiating for himself as to how much he would do it for. And I heard the words $300. And I thought, oh my God, $300 to fall a deck onto cardboard? But he did it, and he did it okay, and he didn't hurt himself. But boy, these stuntmen really earn their living, I gotta tell you.
And that was in '86, so by now it'd be up to $350. You want to?
Another question.
Here we go.
Hi, Walter. My name is Brandy. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
I would like to know, when Jimmy Pardo comes by your house, do you like to go Bester on him and give him crap?
No, I don't do that. Jimmy Pardo is my son-in-law. He's a stand-up comic who's done very well. He plays all over the country. He was the warm-up guy for Conan O'Brien for 6 years, and now has a personal business contract with Conan to develop shows together. He's just the host of a five-episode series. It was a game show where the contestants had to solve riddles inside a room, and each riddle led to another clue, and it was very clever. It was very clever done. So he's doing very well.
Very good. It's good.
Hi, my name is Micah. What is your opinion on the most recent reboot of the Star Trek movies?
You're talking about the J.J. Abrams. Yeah. I think they're great. I know there are people who view Star Trek with a very strong sense of canon, and they become upset when they vie from that when they go off on a tangent that doesn't seem consistent with what folks have been watching on the series and in our original motion pictures. But this is a different era. This is a different decade. You tell stories in a different way. I mean, I love the old classic Turner Network and watching the old movies from the 30s and the 40s. But I wouldn't want to see a movie like that today. I appreciate them for what they were and for how they were made and for their performances then. This is a different time, and I think it should be represented by the way filmmaking is made now. So for all or any of you who feel that it went in a different direction and was not true to Star Trek, I think you have to take into consideration that Star Trek has to grow as well as the century goes, as well as everything else goes, and each new creator, each new person who comes to it, brings his own voice, and that is, I think, is very important. So I thoroughly I didn't quite understand some of the plot points in it, but I certainly liked the actors. I thought they were all wonderful, and visually, I thought it was exciting. So I'm not one of you that's going to agree that, oh my God, where is the old Star Trek? You know, that's enjoy what we got. You know.
Yes. I'm just going to tilt your cap. Maybe it's just because I'm watching you on camera. Just to get a little more of your face up. How about that, guys? A little better? Just a little more out of the shadow. Did you get a chance to, I think you surely had, get a chance to meet Anton Yeltsin, that plays the Chekov?
Yes.
Yeah.
Delightful young man. Delightful young man. If you can ask me something, and I'll give you a rancorous, vilifying answer, but you got to ask me the right question. You're asking me questions about people that I like. So.
Did you give Anton any advice, or did he call you up, or after the fact even, or did you?
Oh my God, we had a meeting where he came to my house. He literally came through the door on his knees, crawled, on a carpet to where I was sitting on my throne. And we burned a little incense and played a little harp music, and then I told him about life, and none of that is true. When I met him, he was in like the last day of shooting. I was on the set. I was there for a couple of hours. We talked. Very bright young man, very courteous. I think you'd all love him. If you met him personally, you'd all love him. He's a really nice chap. I had a funny moment with him afterwards. After the film was screened, and there was a big crowd. There was a big party in the parking lot, and I walked outside and I saw a huge contingent of people, journalists and fans and so on. And he saw me way in the background as I was walking by, and he said, Walter, I have my own action figure now. He knew then that he had arrived. Yeah, no, that was great. As you know, we're trying, people are trying to do Star Trek in the more classical manner, or at least taking characters and time periods and trying to have them evolve in an organic manner and make them, I've got tissues everywhere.
Kleenex machine.
And trying very hard to maintain canon. But these are mostly fans who have become professionals and who know their work, but they're fans of the old show. And I think, from what I've seen, that their efforts are really quite admirable. And it's nice that there is a contingent. I don't mean to sound contradictory. That there is a contingent that does want to maintain the the sense and the sensibility of how Star Trek was, 40, 50 years ago. I was in one called Renegade, and
Anybody see Renegades? Walter just out.
not bad, huh? We're going to do a couple more that I'll be involved in. I'm going to be a little bit more involved in the screenwriting than I was in the first one. And since there's going to be, I'm going to read a piece that will be very shortly on YouTube or wherever they're going to show it. I might as well tell you that this will be the last time you will see Pavel Chekov. But believe me, it's time. It's time. So, and then I'm going to do another one called Captain Pike, which had to do with the Federation before Captain Kirk became involved. And it's the story that immediately preceded the promotion of Captain Kirk. And that's going to be fun because I'm also assisting or contributing to the script there. And I would like that one to be a little bit edgier. Some surprises, things that you might not initially consider to be predictable for Star Trek, but that you ultimately conclude is still appropriate for what Star Trek has always been trying to do.
And then for Captain Pike, that's on screen or that's writing, or what was your role there?
Well, I'm in Captain Pike as another character.
Right.
And also assisting in writing the script.
Right.
And then I haven't done a lot, but I've done some.
And you had done New Voyages about 10 years ago. That was kind of a groundbreaking episode.
New Voyager.
Or Phase 2 with the young Chekov.
Oh
yeah.
Isn't it? To me, it's amazing that of all the people who were involved with Star Trek, that I'm the one that's still carrying the torch for the earliest time. I find that absolutely amazing because when Gene called us and said, "That's it, bye-bye," I believed it. That was it. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? And here I am. My God, I'm still doing it. It's amazing.
Q&A. Why don't we get back to our Q&A? Go ahead, yeah.
My name's Jeff. I'm from My Sci-Fi TV. I worked with Rich Riviere that we lost to a heart attack last winter. And I have an audio clip of you that will live forever. And I'm going to say thank you.
It's an audio clip of
A bumper that we got of Walter, I think in 2009.
Oh, for the show.
For our podcast.
For iSci-Fi.
I'm not going to play it because it's not about me. It's about...
Yeah.
It's about 50 years of Star Trek and being a fan. And Chekov, you're always going to be here. You're going to be on the internet. You're going to be on my phone. You're going to live forever.
There you go.
My name's Jeff. There was an earlier episode of, obviously I'm a Star Trek fan, this shirt might give it away, but they don't have Chekov shirts, so I'd be wearing them.
And we've got to do something about that. Where are the
Chekov? But the truth is, there's an episode on Alfred Hitchcock Presents where you were quite young, played a gang tough, and my question really is how does that relate to your career, and did you actually work? I think it was when Alfred Hitchcock, not the Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which means you actually might have worked with Hitchcock. How was that, and how did that affect your career and help you move forward, if it did at all?
Well, it did in a very kind of oblique manner. It was certainly not a character that was anything like Chekov. I was a gang leader. I played opposite James Caan. He was the good guy. I was the bad guy. Harlan Ellison wrote it. Harlan Ellison, who wrote
City on the Edge.
City on the Edge of Forever. But the director was a man named Joe Pevney. And Joe Pevney kept saying to me during the shooting, now this was obviously one man's opinion, he said, "You're going to be a star. You're going to be a star." And he kept saying that, and I said, "Well, that's great. Thank you, thank you." And when it came to casting Star Trek, he was one of the people instrumental in casting Chekov. He was in the room when I read. So he had a part in getting me onto Star Trek. I don't consider that becoming a star, but it did certainly change my life. The one story that I've told more than any other, practically, but it's worth telling because somebody always laughs when they're supposed to when I tell this story. Get it? I went in to read, and I had read the script, and it's a very, very serious scene. Captain, the ship is about to blow up. What are we going to do? And my jaws were clenched, and my eyebrows were furrowed, and my eyes were steely. And I finished reading, and Gene was there, and Bob Justman, and Joe Pevney, and a couple of other people.
Joe D'Augusta.
Joe D'Augusta was the one who brought me in. And after I got finished reading, it was dead quiet in the room. And he said, "Yeah, that was good, but can you make it funny?" Now, look, I'm an actor of integrity. You know, I believe in the process. I don't believe in prostituting myself. I don't believe in imitating or making fun. I believe in bringing my heart and my soul and all that other crap that to the room. And I said to myself, there's no way that I can make this funny. So of course I tried. And I did that. Captain, guess what? The ship is about to blow up. And they liked that. And they sent me off to Max Factor, which was a cosmetics place, where they had lots of hair, women's hair wigs. And I tried on 6 or 7 wigs, and we brought back 3 or 4. One of which was blonde, and it looked just awful. I just didn't like it at all. And then after I tried them on, they tried them on, which was really curious. And they were all running around the room. But the point, I skipped the actual moment that I meant to tell. My brain was in another galaxy. After I read for the part, I was asked to wait, and I waited, and I waited. Nobody came out of the inner room. And honest to God, the sun started to go down. What I didn't know was that everybody had left through Gene's office, which was the inner room. There's a door there. And they forgot about me. Now, that in itself is kind of strange, because a guy came through the door and said, "Are you Walter Koenig?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Come with me." And I went with him, and it was the wardrobe man. It was the designer. I mean, how can you forget about somebody who you asked the wardrobe designer to go get? And he got me, and we went back to the wardrobe room. I hand to God, not a moment of exaggeration in this part of the story. He dropped to his knees in front of me, put his hand on my crotch. And I said, "What are you doing?" I'm measuring you for a costume. And that's how I found out that I was going to start.
So if there was any doubt whether you had the balls to play Chekov.
Yes.
I think Superman's got a question.
My name is Caleb Sears, and I was wondering, what was your favorite part of acting in Star Trek?
My favorite part of acting? Well, I think whenever I had anything that was humorous, whenever I had a moment of fun, that I enjoyed that most. That's why I talked about Star Trek 4, the improvisation we did in the street about the nuclear vessels and the scene with the FBI guy. I also love what Ricardo Montalban did in Star Trek 2. He was bigger than life, but a wonderful antagonist, a wonderful counter to Captain Kirk. And I thought they played off each other marvelously. And of course, the scene of Spock's death it was a very, very emotional and touching scene that has always stayed with me. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Brienne. So throughout the Star Trek series and movies, you have a lot of really awesome hairdos and sideburns. Are there any that are your favorite?
Good.
They did get you into some really long, like through 5 and 6, they were putting you into some interesting Elvis.
Well, I started off with my own hair, but what's that guy's name? Trump, whatever his name is. I was sort of back, I was coming in from back. When I let it down, it was halfway down my waist. But I started to lose my hair when I was 28. So they were combing it forward. It was my hair, but they were combing it forward. But it was, initially it was very short because I had done a film of my own where I wore it short. So then, so the first several episodes had the wig I was talking about. Then my hair grew long enough so that I then started to comb it forward. And for the 2 years I was in the show, that's what I did. And then they sprayed it in the back. And so it wasn't so obvious that, with a dark spray. So it wasn't so obvious that there was a line there. And then when we started making the movies, I just decided that I cannot play the youngest, supposedly the youngest member of the cast with hair that was thinning so badly. So I went out and I had somebody make a wig, a hairpiece. And from then on, I wore a hairpiece. I wore a hairpiece throughout the films and throughout Babylon 5. And then you get to a point when you say, good Lord, I'm 70 years old and I'm wearing a hairpiece. I mean, there's no real room for vanity anymore. You are who you are, and you come to live with it, and you're okay with it. And that's when I let that go.
If I may, just because they want to see your beaming face, I'm just seeing the show. See, you got a job. There.
I was very pleased that no one else on our show ever felt the need to wear a hairpiece. Next question.
Hi, my name is Leslie, and you've mentioned the J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboot films, and I'm curious if you've ever been offered a cameo, and if you were, would you take it?
No, I have not been offered a cameo. If it was a cameo like, what was the science fiction? I'm so bad with names. Science fiction movie that Tom Cruise remade. War of the Worlds, right. There was a shot at the end of the movie where the two leads from the original movie were standing on a porch or something and waving. That was nice to put on the billboard or, but I would not do that. It would have to be something a bit more substantial. It's not going to happen. It's all academic, but I wouldn't accept something like that.
It's James Brown, and I am wondering, through all the filming of the episodes and all of the movies, with all the rest of the crew of the show and all the other actors, what's one of your favorite moments or favorite stories from filming?
Well, I think I've answered that. I mean, I have there's some nasty moments, which I could talk about and put actors in a bad light, but I'm not going to do that. Okay.
I was going to say save it for another book, but why not wait?
No, I'm not going to do it. I'm trying to, get me behind me, Satan. I really don't want to live with that for the rest of my life. I don't want those moments. I want to be able to dwell in the most pleasant memories that I have, and not call up those moments that made me angry, and will still make me angry if I call them up. So I really do try not to dwell in that.
Can I do something?
Sure.
That's not from the shows per se, but just as a little bit something we've worked on. Just a couple. We've got a few more questions in line. I don't want to hijack the hour, but of interesting moments of the cast. Maybe give everybody a little tease about what I'm calling the Con of Wrath. Was that the first humongously ambitious fan event that all went kind of south, but then yet again it didn't.
That was in Dallas or Houston?
Houston.
Yeah, we were asked. Oh, I can't tell you one thing that pissed me off. Because I got to talk to Leonard's son about it, and it sort of made it all clear for me. We were going to do this convention in Houston, and I somehow got to be the intermediary, the person who was going between the convention and the actors, and try and get the actors aboard. And at one point I went up to Leonard, and Leonard was never Leonard. I never saw him outside of Star Trek on the studio, except maybe for a cast party, and then you never get to talk to anybody. So he was always Mr. Spock. I mean, I didn't call him Mr. Spock, but that's all I knew about him was Mr. Spock. And I've only found later what a generous, good person, humanitarian, conscientious, sensitive individual he was. But that was long after we stopped shooting. But I approached some people and asked them if they wanted to come to the convention. And I got everybody to say yes. And then I went to Leonard. I said, Leonard, we're doing this convention in Houston, and they would like to know if you would be interested in coming. And he looks at me with... I was so furious. I was so freaking angry. I mean, come on, for God's sakes, We're not doing a scene from Star Trek. Leonard never stopped being Spock. And that's what was going on. And I didn't realize that at the time. I mean, I knew it on one hand, and on the other hand, I just thought it was just such a disdaining, kind of belittling way of looking at something. But when I finally realized that, hey, he's playing that character, with enormous integrity. So I got over that. In any case, to make the story shorter, we went to Houston. It was there were so many things wrong with it. I mean, I went 2 weeks early, and I did television shows, and I did radio shows. I saw billboards with Bill Shatner's picture on them. They were really doing this up. And then the guy who was running it didn't know how to run it. He really didn't know how to run it. And when money would come in, people were coming in from all over the country to attend this. And the money came in, he used it to pay off people that he needed to pay off to help get the convention going. To paying Peter to pay Paul. Borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. And finally, when the fans came, the hotel was so furious because that money that the fans had been sending in for hotel rooms had been gone to pay band leaders and whatever, other people. And the rooms they were locked out of their rooms. They couldn't get in. They'd flown across the country and they couldn't get in. And it really appeared to be the greatest disaster ever in terms of Star Trek, then or ever to be. Two things happened. The dealers came forward, and there was some, self-interest involved, but they put up their credit cards so that the fans could get into their rooms. And the actors all said we would do it for much less than we had originally said we would. And then there were several nightclubs, party places to go to afterwards, who did it for free, who let us all come for free. So it ended up being a remarkable experience. From one that was, and the guy who put it on never came out of his room. He locked himself in his room and stayed there. And in fact, and I had written the piece for the actors to do. So Harv Bennett, who had been invited as well, he got together with me and said, "What do we do? Do we make Star Trek and the studio look worse by all walking away, or do we pitch in for free?" And I said, by all means, we pitch in for free. So that's what we did. All the actors played their roles. They came out. All the restaurants and the nightclubs all came forward, let us in, served us for free. Musicians who had not been paid hung around and played. And we had this 16,000-seat basketball auditorium. We had about 1,200 people in it. That's all that showed up. But we went on with the show, and including the
3 times. Did 3 of those.
Yeah, and we did it, and everybody who was acting in the play all acted in the play. So I thought, wow, what a terrific thing. I mean, this is, a kind of, I'm just sentimental enough to feel that this is a perfect reflection of what Star Trek is supposed to be. Everybody getting together. The fans, the dealers, the actors, we all got together, pitched in, and put on a show. And I thought that was just terrific.
And thanks to you and Harv Bennett, rest in peace now, we're doing the documentary that Connor rap about. But anyway, thank you for sharing that. Let's get everybody lined up here in the line, yeah.
My name is Joe. I think I speak for everybody in Salt Lake. Thank you for coming. We hope you come back. It's really good to have you here. My question is, it's been stated that you and George Takei did not get along initially when you started filming Star Trek. How did it go from you two not liking each other to you being best man at his wedding?
I know there's a joke in here, but I don't. First, let me answer this part of the story. I never knew that George didn't like me. I didn't know that and I should have. It's a logical thing. Somebody comes in and takes over your role, that you would feel some acrimony. But I was just naive enough not to understand that. And because George was always so courteous and gentlemanly. I'm a sensitive guy. If somebody looks at me cross-eyed, I'm aware of it. I was never aware of it. I was never aware that George had these feelings of animosity. George got the short end on several occasions. He got the short end in Star Trek 4. He got the short end in Star Trek 2, I think, regarding the shuttle, when he was supposed to be appointed to a captaincy.
They were going to do the Excelsior thing then, and it got bumped off.
Yeah. And each time he handled it with dignity and professionalism. So I really respected him for that. Really respected him for that. I think it's part of the way he was brought up. You know, it was part of the culture. And so that was great. Then I read his book, and I found out that he said he hated me. That's an exaggeration. He couldn't have. How could anybody hate me? However, alas, things have changed. And not for the better. So now, situations that did not exist, to some degree do. And I don't want to go any further than that.
Okay, let's do the next question.
Hi, Walter. My name is Casey. With the recent passing of Leonard Nimoy, I know he can be infuriating, but he's such a wonderful human being, an ambassador for sci-fi and for Star Trek in general. And with you now carrying the torch, I was wondering if you had any experiences that you really enjoyed, or that you could share a moment, like what your favorite experience was with Leonard.
Well, he wasn't infuriating. It was just that one occasion. It was truly just that one occasion. And I take some responsibility because I think I probably overreacted. Overreacted. Overacting is something else. And I have never done that. But as I said, Leonard was a good person. He was a good person. I came to him. First, I asked him to do an introduction to my novel. He did it without a squawking. He said, "Sure." On a couple occasions, he came to me, and which he didn't have to do. He was looking at dailies, and he said, "Walter, I think you're going overboard." And the way he said it to me, I did not feel insulted. I felt like I better evaluate this. He wasn't talking about the accent. How many people keep thinking that the accent was overdone? That wasn't the case. But in a couple of occasions, I got a little carried away with myself, and I mugged a little bit. So I appreciated him coming to me personally and saying that. I went to him and said, Leonard, George, Michelle, and I have the favored nations, which means that we get paid the same. And I had discovered that on Star Trek, which one did he do? He did 4 and 3, right?
Right, 3 and 4.
But he was also it may have been 4. It may have been 4. I said, Leonard, Michelle is not getting what we're being paid. And he took care of it. Took care of it, made sure that she did. He, one circumstance that I had nothing to do with, because I wasn't involved initially. When they were doing the animated Star Trek, they were, by now most of you know this story, they were only going to use Leonard, DeForest, Nigel, and Bill. And then they were going to have Jimmy do all the other male voices, and Nigel do Michelle's voice. And when Leonard got wind of this, he said he would not be involved, because George and Michelle had been in the second pilot, and they were as responsible as anybody for the show going forward. Which I thought was an extremely generous and an honorable thing to do. So Leonard was a good guy. Didn't know him. I didn't know him. And he really was Mr. Spock to me. But from all that I've heard and all that I've seen, what he accomplished, he was a special person. And I think everybody who enjoyed his work as Spock, that very special quality was part of that work.
Well, that is as wonderful a moment as ever to go out on today. Our time's up, Walter, but you're here all weekend? Or what?
Yeah, I can't go out on that.
You can't?
I can't go out.
Okay.
I gotta go out on a joke.
A joke? Okay. Okay. It's not a shaggy dog, is it?
No, it's not a shaggy dog.
Okay,
Somewhere along the line, I don't know, in the 70s, I hurt my knee, and I hurt it badly, and I had to have surgery. And they told me before I went in that it was in the meniscus. Is that what it is? Meniscus?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. And it would be relatively minor surgery. I'd be on the table for an hour. I'd be on crutches for a couple of days, and then I'd be prancing around as as I always had. So I went in feeling pretty optimistic. Unfortunately, they discovered that there was more damage than they initially expected. And I was on the table for several hours. And ultimately, I would be on crutches for weeks. And it wouldn't be an hour. I was on the table for several hours. I already said that, I think. But this is an indication or a sign or I don't know, I can't think of another word, that there was among the staff working on me a very devout Star Trek fan. And I was coming out of the anesthesia, seeing the world, listening to it, being aware of it for the first time in several hours. You know, I had been nowhere, and suddenly I was back in consciousness. And the first words that I heard, as my eyes fluttered open, and I felt my fingers twitch. Oh, this is all bullshit, but this is true. The first words I heard were, I got a wee bit of bad news for you, laddie.